what if you could be better understood? What if people knew where you were coming from because they understood how you take in the world and what you care about?
And this is one of the questions that is actually going to require some work from you too. Whereas understanding where other people come from is going to help you understand them better. In this case, there's things that you might have to do to help people understand you better.
So understanding how your body is equipped, how you take in information, what you care about, how you move, is the first step on an evolutionary path that will enable you to be better understood by other people and understand people more effectively as well.
Many of us, certainly, I think the head types feel that they're misunderstood quite a lot of the time.
What are the head types?
The head types are the 7, 5, 1, to some extent even 3.
So the odd numbers.
The odd numbers mainly, yes, because the odd numbers are mainly in the head and upwards, and the even numbers are much more body-based, but I don't know as many people with an even number that feel they're misunderstood.
Oh, no, that's completely wrong.
Okay, good.
We're all misunderstood.
We're all misunderstood. So
what we do with being misunderstood is different.
Yeah, that's probably true, yes. So again, that was just a simple example of how misunderstandings happen, because the even numbers and the odd numbers communicate differently.
The odd numbers and the even numbers.
Yes, exactly. Even, odd. And so being able to be understood is actually quite important, because it helps you feel more connected to yourself, it helps you feel heard, and it helps your interactions and relationships with other people. Because if you're in a relationship with someone and you just think, well, I like that person, but they never understand me, there's something to actually happening for both of you.
So it's Valentine's week, and we all approach life very, very differently, and especially around, Valentine's is a great example of the differences. You've heard of the love languages. We talked a little bit about that in our email last week. But love languages are only part of how we interact and what creates attraction and what we believe, or the ideas about how we want to be treated are very, very different depending on your natural number.
And since how we want to be treated is probably different than in fact, almost guaranteed to be different than the way the person with whom we're in a relationship wants to be treated, there's an element of communication that really has to happen. And part of that communication has to evolve around curiosity, because unless you're curious about what does the other person mean, you're going to think, well, they mean what I would mean. And that is guaranteed to be not accurate.
And to get you in trouble.
Yes.
Especially at Valentine's.
Yes.
So there are different ways that attraction shows up. One of the things we talk about in a number of our shows is that we are attracted to energies we know well, the other natural numbers that we know well. What this means is the energies of our parents and brothers and sisters, or perhaps mentors and teachers, become one of the ways that we're used to receiving appreciation and love and respect. And so we crave that and know that when it comes from those energies we know well.
But on top of all that nature is the nurturing that you've received from those natural numbers. Just because someone is the same natural number as a person you're familiar with doesn't mean necessarily that they need the same things from you that the other person did.
Nor does it mean you actually understand them.
Yes. All it means is that your way of communication is very, very similar with them.
Right. And the way they give love, the energy of love, is familiar to you. So that's attractive. That's something that we are attracted to. And attraction doesn't always mean understanding, compatibility, the ability to have a warm and deep and rich and fulfilling relationship.
But it's a good place to start. And if you're lucky enough to start from that place, and you can add the communication, you can actually be able to be understood in that relationship, and you can understand your partner, that's going to lead to a much more fulfilling, much more, and I'm going to use the word evolved, relationship.
And connected.
And connected, definitely. So the first thing, again, is curiosity. What is it that person means? And the other thing to remember is it's not about you. There may be some things that in you that is causing strife in the relationship, but their response is going to be their response. And being curious about what does their response mean, and talking about that, and being able to talk through that, and being vulnerable, these are all ways that you can communicate. And if you can actually think about being in a different part of your body, being a different natural number, if you will, when you're communicating, you might find that that gets to be even more powerful.
In your ability to understand another person.
And have them understand you.
Absolutely. But it is, you said it's not about you. Well, their actions are not about you.
Yes, their responses.
Their responses. Your interpretation and who you are is all about you.
Yes, completely.
And that's all you've got.
Yeah.
So first understanding, well, when I activate my own natural number, which we've taught our collapse and then lift, will automatically activate your natural number region of the body. Mm-hmm. So if you're having a hard time, start there. And then remember, oh yeah, my husband Martin, he activates from the top of his head. So maybe I'll try to bring that in. So you can learn to do these things. I can learn to bring the top of my head in a little bit, along with my 6. And now I can communicate more effectively, which isn't always easy.
It is not always easy. And so whenever we disagree, which we do fairly often because we're human beings, and some of that is because of a lack of understanding of what, where, and how the other person's coming from. So we've learned to first also check in. Okay, is this what you mean? Is there another way you can say that? Can you? And so when Susan activates a 5, she can understand me better. When I activate my 6, I can understand her better. And so communication is about being you, but also sometimes having to be in a place where you are making moves and steps towards the other person so that you can understand them better.
We each offer a gift that comes through our bodies. Love being one expression of that gift, but also the wisdom that is inherent to each of the natural numbers. So each natural number has a very important gift to offer you that comes from their body wisdom. So for example, as me as a 6, I'm really good at synthesizing what's happening and expressing what's important and moving people into action. That's the gift I offer you in all of our What If Wednesdays, is synthesizing what is happening and pointing in a new direction. Martin, conversely, offers context and understanding, knowing what we know, what we don't know. These are not things I can offer.
No. And so if you're in a relationship with someone and you're an odd number and they're an even number, they may spend some time talking about how they feel about things, and you may not care. But that doesn't mean they're in anything close to other than right and have a gift for you to understand. And vice versa.
Yes. And our movements and our gestures and our expressions all mean something very, very different. For example, one of the misunderstandings I see a lot is with people of natural number 2, when we don't make eye contact, they think we're not interested in the relationship, which is just wrong. We are very interested in a relationship. We just don't know how to create it with our eyes until we learn to activate that part of our body. And then we can learn to create relationship and engage with our eyes.
One of the magnificent things about knowing how to activate all 9 energy centers in your body is that it makes it easier to hear other people. And it makes it easier in some ways to communicate with other people. Because when you can speak on all 9 frequencies and when your body is able to broadcast on all those 9 frequencies, potentially simultaneously, we're not totally sure, people can hear you better. And you can modulate your voice. You can be less excited. You can go to a place where, let's have a deep relationship.
Or stop judging.
Or stop judging.
Yeah. And just noticing your language, like less excited. Well, why would I want to be less excited? Sometimes I want to be more excited.
Sometimes you want to be...
So just being able to change and choose how you're showing up energetically with other people, how you're giving that gift that comes with your body, and how you're receiving the gifts of others. Just the choice about it is magical. One
of the things I've had to learn is that when we're doing these presentations, if we're talking to a large number of people, I need to slow down because people can't hear me if I'm babbling away all very quickly, which I do when I get excited. So learning how to be with other people sometimes means stepping away from who you are a little bit. And that's actually a powerful thing to do. It makes you more powerful, more rounded, and actually more of a complete, and I'm going to be very judgmental there, more complete human being. Or more evolved, perhaps, is the better phrase.
Well, no, actually, the complete is probably less judgmental than evolved. But that depends on how you interpret language and words and the meanings that you put onto words, because that also is a function of our natural number. So we make up what other people's words mean based off of our life experiences. So for me, less or more, especially with respect to speed and energy and excitement, feels judgmental, even though it's not necessarily meant to be judgmental. So we have our nurture that layers on this nature. So my nature is to be fast and powerful and present And then my nurture is that it's not okay to be those things because I haven't always been able to modulate them and understand the impact of them. And so there's times when I have run over people without realizing it. And so as a result, there's nurture that comes in there when people resist my natural gifts. So that's an example of how our nature can get overlaid by our nurture. And then we lose that connection to who we are. So getting back to that nature is a really important part about building relationship. Because if I don't trust myself and I trigger easily at words that are judgmental to me, but aren't to my partner, then we can have arguments over absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it goes back to the technology and the ability to talk to everybody. Nobody in one voice can talk to everybody because each of us has one natural number. Sometimes you have to try all 9 to be able to reach all 9, and that's hard.
It's really hard. I mean, in our marketing, we're always working on that. Well, how do we have our messages land? I mean, I speak as a 6 mostly. Mm-hmm. Martin speaks as a 5 mostly. Now we've learned how to, be more engaged and available. We've learned how to be connected to who we are through our bodies, to our bigger selves. We've learned to connect to source. We've learned to breathe and expand and know that there's way more than just the two of us in this room and on this video.
Yeah, when we do these videos, we have to consciously or unconsciously cycle through most or all of the natural numbers so that there is something that will resonate with everybody that's out there.
And that's super challenging.
Yeah, but it's a way that we can talk to more people and reach more people.
And you can too. We have a brand new program, a certification program. So if you're curious about this, it starts in the end of March. And we are very excited to start teaching again people how to activate their bodies. Whether you're a coach who wants to master Body of 9 or you're anybody that just wants to learn how to have a fuller, richer life, our programs are appropriate and helpful and will change your life too.
Yes, so 2022 is and here we are in the middle of February. The year is 1/10 over already, but it's an exciting year for us because we're going to be able to get back out and about. We're going to be able to have in-person events, although we're not doing too many of them, but we are able now to teach and train what we know, and so that you can take what we know and make it what you know.
Because there's so much more available to us as human beings. And this does provide an evolutionary advantage. If you understand the person in front of you and communicate more effectively with them because you know what kind of body they're wearing here, what suit they've got on, and how it's activated, you can communicate more effectively. It's just a reality.
Physio-spiritual body to physio-spiritual body. We are not just the earth suit. We're not just the consciousness. We're not just the emotion. We are complete packages.
All put together. Right. And each of us values a different aspect of that to a great degree.
And different aspects at different times.
Right, depending on what's going on and what you've learned to activate in your body.
That's right.
When I'm with my natural number 2 daughter, I just know to be with her and listen and be there and be present and make eye contact with her. And that's all I need to do. She'll do the rest of the work for the relationship. Whereas with Martin, we just hang out and it's easy. Because that's the way our relationship works. So understanding how you want to be in each relationship is really helpful.
And one of the fun things about being able to activate other natural numbers, and I've mentioned this before, is sometimes when I'm out dancing, I like to activate natural number 4 because it gives me more flow. I feel much more in tune with myself. But then I also realize no one's looking at me.
And nobody's available to connect.
Yeah, and if I'm dancing number 5, I don't care. No one's looking at me or not. In some ways, it's embarrassing.
Because you're not looking at anybody either.
Exactly. So just being able to activate another natural number helps you understand the way that people of that natural number experience the world, which again gives you some more space to accept that other people are different than you. And unless you can accept that people are different than you, it's going to be hard to communicate with them.
Yes. It's a big part of why we're so confused out there. We grew up in families where a natural number doesn't repeat, so we're not supported in ours, and we don't know how to support our family. Truly, we do know we're different.
Yep.
And we know that.
Yeah, but we don't know how to support the differences.
Right, and what we do is we make each other wrong for the differences instead of appreciating the power and the gift in the differences.
Yeah, a lot of the conversations we've had, things we've talked about today, are because we were raised by our parents that are not the same natural number as us. Being a 6 and being powerful and being able to do what Susan does is amazing. Being a 5 and being able to do what I do is amazing. But if I'm talking to someone that is not a 5, I have to modulate because they literally can't understand a word I'm saying. Sometimes. It's
true. Mm-hmm. This morning he woke me up at 6 o'clock in the morning and started telling me about what we should be doing, and I was still asleep. But he'd been up for an hour thinking about this fully formed idea in his brain, and I was like, I can't even hear what you're saying, no less.
Back when I was working in Silicon Valley, often I'd go in the morning to my team and basically, well, I've been thinking. And they'd all sit around and either smile or raise an eyebrow or think to themselves, oops, let's see what's happening next. Because that's how I think. I think in the morning when I'm waking up before I'm going to bed. Those are my most productive creation times.
Which I think are probably relatively common for 5s. Yeah. Take care. It was great to talk with you today. And we'll see you again at our next What If Wednesday.
Bye for now.